Hey guys, Futtbutt here. I wanted to come at you with another video. I know a lot of you liked the Anna video, and it was just fun even having some conversations with people about it, whether they fully agreed with me or not. But I want to talk about the recent Bastion patch and how people have been reacting to it. I think a lot of people have not been looking at it, in my opinion, the right way, and I do agree with Blizzard that they were going for more of a change, and they wanted to see how it would affect the game. But also a thing that really stood out to me is that they are really bringing out kind of a new stat into the game, damage reduction, and that's something that we haven't really seen that much. Of course, we saw in Anna's ultimate, but now we have it in Bastion. It's even coming up with the new upcoming tank that's in the game. And there's a lot of potential danger here, especially because Blizzard, I think, is very new to the stat for the game of Overwatch. Not in general, but just for Overwatch. I think it's a very new mechanic, and it presents a lot of, different interactions between old characters and I think upcoming new characters for what it provides. And I think that Blizzard needs to be very careful on their steps moving forward. I don't think Bastion was the huge criminal. They've already nerfed essentially how damage reduction works for him, and even how much the cap can be for him. So let's talk about why damage reduction is so strong and like how long we've even known about it. So damage reduction essentially gives effective health, and effective health has always been stronger than just healing or healing per second, and we've known this between the interaction of Lucy ult and Zenyatta ult. I know there's always a debate about this, but if you just kind of break down many scenarios, for Zen Ultimate, you need to maintain distance and line of sight to get that healing. And this is outside of Bio Grenade, before anyone freaks out and saying, well, this is better. I'm just saying in general, where during Zenyatta, you can burst a character still with a, Tracer Sticky Grenade or a Roadhog Hook. You can separate or move people apart, and you can just have very strong ways to counterplay Zenyatta. Lucy ult, you just need to be seen once. You have a lot of health. It takes away burst potential from a lot of characters. Of course, you can die, but it's a good ultimate where everyone on your team gets a lot of health. You have 3,000 essentially effective extra HP on all of your teammates if you hit everybody, right? So everyone has a 500 bonus health, and that just takes away a lot of strong counterplay. Even with Fire Grenade, it doesn't become as effective in the long run. Of course, if people can break down scenarios saying, well, Genji ult is better against Lucy ult than it is against Zen ult. But in general, Lucy ult is overall a much stronger ability than a Zenyatta ult. And we could talk about that later, but I think it is a large consensus. It's kind of a ubiquitous thing that a lot of people agree that the Lucy ult throughout its history has been stronger than the Zenyatta ult. Now we're going to move into essentially Anna, right? We're going to talk about how strong she is and why this damage reduction was a thing. So I think a lot of people remember this post from Reddit a long time ago, and I'm not saying Reddit is all knowing, but it created a very interesting interaction of kind of armor and also damage, the damage reduction stat from Nano Boost that was making tanks really strong, and he even eventually made Reaper fade out after his Beyblade, the movement speed buff, kind of faded into non-existence. We just saw him fall apart, and we haven't seen him consistently for a long time. And the reason why is because his effective damage is so low. He does only 35 damage per shot against tanks and all of that. And right here, damage reduction can be seen here. So essentially, it doubles your effective health. So if I have 100 normal health, right, and I'll explain the armor part in a second, but if I have 100 normal health, I essentially have 200 health now, right? That is what it kind of implies. And to give you that concept of how much damage amplified for you to make it go back to the same, for you to do the same amount of flat damage or all that, you need to have 100% damage amplification to that person. And so that it just shows you how strong it is. And for characters like Reaper or even a little bit Tracer, people who have low damage per shots or have pellets in their shots, when they have armor, essentially they have 400 health. And that's why Bastion was really hard to kill, and even tanks that had armor. because Bastion, since he had armor health, it was just really hard to kill the guy, especially if he got nano boosted, and it was getting ridiculous to a point. Now it's capped at 50%, and he doesn't even get that much when he's in sentry or tank mode anymore, so it's not as big of a fear going into it. But this is, I'm just talking about the stat of damage reduction. So right now your effective health becomes so high that it, you know, it removes burst opportunity, and it makes it harder to take down that target, and they have overall more damage to do over time. So a lot of characters in the game, Roadhog, Soldier, Tracer, or, you know, Scatter Arrow, there's a lot of abilities in the game or combos that people have within their kits that let them do a burst combo, and those are generally based on like 10-second or 12-second or 8-second cooldowns that, you know, you need to play around, and other people will call it out saying his hook is down, or his helix missile is down, or his like dash is down, or what, their ultimates are down, you know. And when you can like outplay that just because you have reduced, you're taking less damage, it just makes it really hard to take these guys down since you're playing around that. So now that, you know, we're damage dealt versus healing down, moving into the next part is healers have a much easier time with people who have reduced damage taken, right? They only need to do half the effective damage to match the damage dealers. And as I was saying with burst characters, healing becomes a lot more powerful as well when you're only having to do it without even the armor, just the healing on a person who's having damage reduction like nano boost on them. This is just such a crazy scenario because that means healers need to only do half the work, and they'll do twice as much. So DPS characters, even like Reaper, have to do a lot more. And since they're always based on their clips, you know, if my clip is a small clip and I take a while to reload, that means it's just way harder to take things down, and it's much easier for the healers. So the healers get a lot more leeway, and it's just so hard to do it. So damage reduction not only gives you effective health, but it makes it easier for your healers to keep you up. You just become a much easier to target to keep up, and you're more effective in a long duration. So damage reduction just gives you all these bonus stats essentially, and it gives your teammates a lot easier time as well. So finally, the thing is, how can they change this? How can they make this better? For me, there's two main things that come to mind that I think are fixes that they can adapt to, and of course there's probably much better created concepts people are working on. I bet Blizzard is working on this now, or, you know, developing ideas. And it's something that's really concerning for the new character is, you know, have time durations with long cooldown. So the new character has a 4-second duration. I'm happy about that. Even Nano Boost had, you know, a 6-second, or I think about 6-second duration. You can call me out on that. And, you know, so people can play around that. You know, when people hear Nano Boost and speed would back off, or you'd lose your speed away, or you'd get away in some fashion, right? And that was the thing. There was some counterplay because you knew how long the duration was, and you could play around that. And that's something the new character has, which I appreciate, but it seems it's only a 10-second cooldown, which can be very, very dangerous. And having that up all the time, and you have a lot of armor as well, I sense a lot of danger with this new character that's coming out, because I think it needs to follow essentially the guy. I need to have kind of a trait. So with such a strong stat, you need to have a long cooldown to make sure that it's kept in line. So people can, on the other team, can play around it, and it's not up for the other team. So you don't have that opportunity of being just super strong all the time. Another possible change is create penalties or trades, you know, for it. You know, the long cooldown is an example of that, but I'm talking about in a more physical aspect of the ability, right? So let's say I am the new character, Arisa, I believe is the name. I get less movement speed. Let's say I move at half the speed, or I move 30% slower, or just in general, I can't move as quickly when I activate the ability. I essentially become super tanky. I'm really hard to kill. I have more effective health. My healers can keep me up faster than you can damage me, right? I'm on the front line. Let's have less movement speed. This is just a concept. So when I'm chasing, if I'm fighting you in a one-on-one, let's say, and I have more effective health than you, then you have a chance to get away from me. You can say, okay, I can just run around this corner. You can't chase me because of the duration, and also you have less movement speed, so I can get outside of your range. And if you're a hit scan character, that means your damage dealt is reduced. New characters projectile. I'm just saying for examples for potentially new characters or the change of how it is. Also, if you're on a front line and you're less movement speed, then you can get easier to hit by skill shots like the hook or certain ultimates or certain abilities. And it just makes it so even though you're really tanky, you have a larger margin of oh, I can take more damage. You know, I'm at risk here. That's kind of what essentially that concept is. Or you can trade damage for, you know, damage reduction, right? So I'll do less damage, I won't do as much damage, and I think this is something I hope tanks kind of somewhat develop in essence later on in the lifespan of Overwatch. Is okay, I'll become more tanky, but I won't do as much damage. I think that would be a really fair trade, because I'm seeing all these characters where they take way less damage and they're still dishing out a lot of damage, right? And they're able to do it for a longer duration and more consistently. I think there needs to be a healthy trade there, especially with this new character that's possibly coming out. It's just like, let's say I activate it, I'm tankier, and I just do 30% less damage or 20% less damage. I can still chase, I can do all the stuff I'm wanting to do, but I need to get slowed down a little bit. So those are my thoughts for damage reduction, guys. I hope you guys liked the video. Thank you guys for watching all of these. It's been a lot of fun for me to sometimes make these, and hopefully I can make more of these in the near future. So hopefully you guys subscribe and like the video, and make sure to share it with a friend if you think it's an interesting conversation, and I would love to have a discussion with any of you about this topic. So until then, thank you guys for watching.